I have a lot of dreams vivid enough to remember details. The earliest dream that I remember all the details of is from when I was 12. I was in my house and I knew people were coming. We locked the door, we shut the garage, and I looked out the window and there was this like horde of people in masks, like Halloween masks. They started marching towards my yard. The closer they got, I realized they weren't masks. They were just like really deformed and like monsters. And they started breaking into my house, like breaking down the windows. The rest of my family ran into the kitchen. I ran into my room, and little fun fact about me, I have a katana in my room. I'd just gotten it, so it was fresh in my brain that I own a sword. And so I picked it up and I was like calling out to my family, and they just stopped answering me. And that was pretty horrifying, because that could mean nothing else besides the fact that they are dead. Cool, love that. The monsters and like masked people started coming up the stairs. And this is the part that a lot of people say I'm crazy for remembering all the details. I remember all of their faces vividly. The ones that freaked me out the most were these 3 girls. They kind of had like The Shining vibes, like the twins from The Shining, where they were like identical, but like their faces were melty. They had like long black hair, pale white, melty faces, and they were just like looking at me like, and they're just coming up the stairs, and I started slashing at them, and I was like, you know, swatting the monsters away, and this one, I went to swing at him, and it just bounced right off him. This guy, his head wasn't a head, it was a baseball, and the baseball was made of flesh, and it was, like, you know how baseballs are stitched together? It was flesh stitched together, like hard flesh, and the stitches were oozing blood. It was huge, it was a flesh baseball, and the rest of his body was normal, so he was like coming up at me, and he had a baseball, a bat, he had a bat, and it was like, had the nails sticking out, and they were all covered in blood, and he was coming at me, and I couldn't chop his head off, and he swung, and I ducked and sprinted to my room and locked the door, and I was like looking around my room like what to do, and he starts breaking down my door with the baseball bat with the nails, and I didn't want him to get me, so I opened my window, kicked out the screen, and jumped, and I fell to my death and woke up right before I hit the ground. If I sleep somewhere comfy, which is most of the time, I still have nightmares. I've had a few dreams that stuck out to me because they meant something to me. I haven't really had any good ones that mean much to me, except for the ones with my grandfather in them. He passed away in 2016, and I think about him a lot. We were really close. And I had this one dream, it was super vivid, like it felt so real, where I was like watching myself when I was 7, and we were on the train together, and he said something, I have it written down, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he said something about watching over me, kind of, but not in like the traditional sense. He was kind of just like, I can see you. And he was like, looked at me, like viewer me of watching little me. And little me was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And it was like, just kind of silly, but it felt good to see him, even if it was a memory that I was like a third person on, which was weird. I do have reoccurring dreams. The funny thing about my reoccurring dreams is that I can almost never describe them unless I had one the night before. I kind of do think that dreams send messages. I actually did a little research about this myself, and I came to my own conclusion that dreams are kind of your brain when the intelligent parts of it aren't stopping you from thinking about things, if that makes sense.